we're now getting on to risk and control concepts. You might recognize this cube. This is the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission's Enterprise Risk Management Cube. So COSO's ERM Cube. You've seen this before. Internal environment, objective setting, event identification, risk assessment, risk response, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring. Let's see how we can put these in the context of ERM. For our internal environment, we're trying to understand the organization. We're trying to look at the organization, its different structures, people, processes, resources, and we're trying to understand the organization, and especially its plans for the future in objective setting. We're going to look at those plans from the organization and try to develop a risk strategy. That's to say, how can we look at the risks to the achievement of the goals and objectives of the organization, adapt these to our risk management function, or our management of risks in the organization, our ERM structure, and see how we can devise ERM to best meet the needs of the organization. We have a risk identification area where ERM is trying at this point to understand the different risks in the organization. And remember, event identification, event is different from risk. It is something that you think can happen. So an actual event occurring. And then you try to understand if that event, if it's in the future and can impact us, then it would be a risk. And so we try to identify those possible events and try to identify the different risks from that. We try to assess and evaluate the risks through a risk evaluation or risk assessment process, including risk measurement, for instance. And we go towards designing risk responses. Now I say we, but it's not necessarily internal audit who's going to be designing anything, but rather an ERM structure will be able to work together with management to design different risk responses to the risks that we identified, that we evaluated as sufficiently significant to spend time on. We look at the control activities and see how we can implement risk responses, and understand that a risk response without communication is likely to be a lot less effective. If you want the culture in your organization to be strong, then of course you need communication of your code of ethics, of your different documents which help bring about a corporate culture that you are proud of. And finally, monitoring kind of looks over the whole system of ERM and tries to understand the monitoring of risk and the risk responses to try to understand if they were proper and sufficient.